It's time for Transport Line, the program that showcases the contributions foremost of transportation to the socio-economic growth and development of our country, Africa, and the rest of the world. Transport Line is being beamed to you from the Center of Excellence, the state of aquatic splendor, and Africa's second largest economy, Lagos. I am Shina Ilegbede. Glad to know that you are keeping us company. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is 3 years on the saddle as President and Commander-in-Chief of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Few days to his third year anniversary as the President, to be precise, May 18th this year, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was in Nairobi, Kenya, discussing with his fellow heads of government in Africa on how we can turn sea blindness to ocean sovereignty. In essence, he went there to share with his counterparts the story of how the blue economy has more or less transformed the ocean view of Nigeria, in the sense that today we don't have piracy on the Nigerian territorial water, ditto some part of Gulf of Guinea and West Africa. According to Mr. President, kudos to the marine and blue economy through the Deep Blue project, which really is bearing result. And of course, few days after, the Port Management Association of West and Central Africa too met in Lagos, hosted by the MPA, to judge on how we can transform our ports to better performance. All these to stakeholders in the maritime sector are not news, because we had many symposia, seminars, workshops, where they came out with flowery and beautiful communications. We hear $27 billion have been allocated for port infrastructures. But beyond that, how come we've not had results, positive one for that matter, in the past 3 years, aside the fact that, yes, the territorial water of Nigeria is now safe, no more piracy, to God be the glory. So, we said this on a few episodes ago, that the media is very germane, very important to the turnaround of the Nigerian economy. So today I have with me on set a media practitioner who is going to discuss with me how we can ginger our leadership and those managing the various maritime agencies of Nigeria and stakeholders to better performance. His name is Ugwina Ojegba. You're welcome to the program.
It's a pleasure, sir, to be here.
I thank you very much for finding time to come on this program, Ojegba. You've had my intro, and it's been 3 years since we started this journey. But precisely, sea blindness and ocean sovereignty. That statement is very profound by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. How do we walk the talk?
Thank you, Mr. Shina. The president was actually right in identifying sea blindness, which has unfortunately been the lot of our ocean. Sea blindness is not new. The concept of sea blindness is not new. Like you indicated in your intro, we have had series of summits, conferences, workshop to turn around the sea blindness into sovereign opportunity, not just for Nigeria, but for the West African region and for the continent as a whole. Unfortunately, we appear to have been moving in a circle, and this we can adduce to certain factors. which are official governance factors. Now, you will recognize the fact that for so long, the key performance index focus has actually focused more on what is less relevant to the development of our ocean potential. You see, when you make money, revenue, and revenue, your KPI focus, you are bound to derail. That shouldn't be. One must emphasize cargo dwell time, because we are talking about ocean, and ocean implies shipping. Basically, it implies tourism, it implies subsea energy and various other resources. Are we tapping this at their optimal level? The question, unfortunately, is no. And then the next question that comes up is why? You discover that government appears to be in love with rhetorics. Rhetorics in the sense that government like to talk about surface issue rather than addressing the matter as it were. One of which is leadership. Because the ocean are to be managed. And when you are managing the ocean, the issue of competence comes in. Who are the drivers of this sub-economy we already listed? You discover that the appointment of some of these CEOs that man the agencies of government, they are not quite familiar with the industry. They may not necessarily be industry persons, but competence must be a key factor in their appointment. And so, where you do not have competent persons heading some of these industries and agencies, the bottom line is that they are going to go there, and for 1 year, they are still learning the rope. And just about the time, perhaps, they are getting to understand the rudiment of the industry, the dynamics of the industry. Something happens and they get moved, and someone else comes in.
Start learning again.
That is a major disservice. And so, when the president talked about sea blindness, he was right. And he was equally right when he says that henceforth, there's going to be ocean sovereignty. How do we get there? Enforcement is necessary. Enforcement like automation, enforcement of automation, operational automation. There are people who are not happy about automation. They want to rely exclusively on manual. And where manual thrives, corruption thrives. Yeah. Rent seeking thrives. And so these are enemies, known and unknown, that are against the growth of the industry. When the president speaks about creating an ocean opportunity, we want to believe that he also knows that it is time for his government to begin to invest massively in intermodal transport system. If you are talking about the sea, are talking about shipping, you are talking about roads, you are talking about railway, you are talking about inland transportation, and the rest. do we have that? Because we are using Nigeria as a case study in this matter. Do we have those in place? Yes, we have them in place, but in half measures. That is a challenge. Currently, we have one of the largest modern seaport, Lekki deep seaport, which ordinarily should have become by now the major hub, transshipment hub for the whole of West African region. But we also know, Mr. Shino, that that port, good as it may, is not connected currently by rail. I am not aware that export is being made from that place through inland waterways. And so, until Mr. President match talk with action, we are going to remain where we are. Now, I spoke about professionalizing leadership. It is okay if you bring a non-marine technocrat to head some of the agencies, but the important thing is that that person must be deemed to be very competent, who will take very little time in understanding the dynamics of the operation and then to forge ahead. Another issue, when you talk about after, we are having a challenge with regional cooperation, regional trust. There need to be regional digital integration so that ports of the sub-region, Liberia, Ghana, Togo, Republic of Nigeria, Republic of Benin, and that of Nigeria will have a seamless flow of cross-border trade. Unfortunately, we are not there
Talking
yet.
about cargo movement.
Yes, cargo movement. You go to Nigerian border, Aseme for instance, you find cargo movement challenges. Why? Because both customs, the Nigerian side and the other side, for lack of trust, are still carrying out manual check, physical examination check. That shouldn't be. And so, if you want efficiency, that has to be done away with. So, these are some of the key parameters that Mr. President must pay attention to if he actually want to walk his talk. So,
I know that while Mr. President spoke at Nairobi Summit, a few days later, the Port Administration Management of West and Central Africa also met in Lagos. And Umugo's amount to, I think, about $75 billion have been earmarked for infrastructural development of our ports. And the target is to have something similar in operations in what you have in Singapore and Rotterdam ports. How do we work our talk in this in terms of manpower and local human development?
Thank you. When the regional port management met and they came up with that staggering project of 27 billion naira for port infrastructure, I do not want to believe billion rather, $27 billion port infrastructure. As good as that sounds, unless cargo have seamless movement from the port to points of destination, that that amount of money, the port infrastructure, amounts to nothing.
Tourist site.
Amounts to nothing. The critical thing is movement of cargoes. And so when the port infrastructure are in top state of the art, you have everything, they are modern and all of that. And outside of the port corridor, you have rent sinking, you have extortion that breeds
Traffic
inefficiency.
Yes, corruption.
How does that translate into gain, into national gain? Nothing. And so I expect that just as the government of Nigeria is improving its port infrastructure efficiency, same should be applied. Same efficiency should be applied in the management of traffic outside of the port. Is it the Lagos port? Is it ports in Rivers State? At One? Rent sinking? Corruption? They are all written over the place. They are walking on four legs. It is not hidden. And so the government need to have the moral authority to be able to deal with this issue, because otherwise the regional decision to begin to pump more money into raising the bar of port infrastructure will at the end of the day amount to nothing if outside of the port there is still inhibition to the movement of cargo.
Oh, yeah, well, presently there is this misconception that as long as we collect more money from the ports, that shows that everything is working fine. But from what we know, port efficiency is determined by trade facilitation. Movement of goods and services, like you said, ease of doing business. Again, human resource development. That is what will happen on now. How do we get this done? You talk about the importance of putting technocrats there, but then when you limit human interface, you tend to reduce corruption. For today, national single window, there's still a lot of bottleneck. What can be done?
That is where Mr. President also need to put his foot down. Because whether we like it or not, the buck ends on his desk. It is for the Minister of Marine and Blue Economy to begin to get more serious with the Marine and Blue Economy policy blueprint. The policy blueprint envisages automation, digital automation, and that is where the national single window you talk about comes in. Now, the minister has to have a one-on-one, have to have an understanding with all his CEOs, the CEOs of the agencies, and they need to be able to have some legal basis to penalize defaulters. Who are those trying to avoid this single window system? Who are those not complying? Who are those not wanting to key in just in order to maintain their rent seeking? Because you should understand, Mr. Shina, that there is an entrenched interest who are against the success of the single window. And that is where Mr. Minister and the
heads of agencies,
headsmen of his agencies need to seriously put their foot down in identifying those who are trying to work against his success. But then, it is not going to be an executive action. it has to be legal. Once the legal system is in place, everything is bound to run smoothly. For some years, the bill to transmute the Nigerian Shippers Council into Port Economic Regulator has been lying limbo. It has been challenged. Who are those challenging it? Entrenched interest. And so, where you have port interest legislation stating laws that prohibit certain things, setting the law that whoever is not in compliance, as it were, with the national single window, these are the punishment clearly stated, then of course we'll be able to move forward. But where these are not statutory, somebody can jump up and begin to challenge the system. And that is the challenge we're having. They will challenge you because they know that it is an executive order. And in this business, executive order has no place. It is legislation. So let us legislate what laws to operate. And as soon as everybody, players and operators, get to know that there are laws in place, people will begin to respect the law. People will begin to act accordingly. Where that is missing, I'm afraid to say that people will continue to want to circumvent the national single window.
Ojegba, I want to thank you for finding time to come. You've just, for the opt-in time, re-emphasized the importance of giving legal backing to the national single window framework. We hope from the brief period we've discussed, we will find every effort to put all hands on deck to make sure that we run an efficient and effective port system. And like Mr. President said, there should be ocean sovereignty. There are many things still attached to it, but time frame will not allow us to dwell on that. But it's an unfinished discussion. I can assure you about that, Ojegba. I thank you for finding time to come, create time for us to come on Transport Line. We appreciate you.
Thank you, sir.
Well, before we draw the curtain, my sing song has to do with compassion. This time around, I'm adding to it, be security conscious. See something, say something. Because every life now is very important. Till next time, bye-bye for now.